love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version of you. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh. Empower life with Cleopatra. Oh, 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 oh.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, so for a minute there, I thought we were not going to go live, okay, because there's been some dodgy stuff going on. The devil is a liar. Okay, so
Inside joke.
welcome to the show. Don't start. I can't. Welcome to the show, guys. It's so good for you guys to join us tonight. If you're in the chat, put something in the chat, and I will give you a shout out. You may see me having to go through my phone to see your chats. It's because, like I said, we had some dodgy stuff going on, but I think we will overcome it a little bit. Maureen, hi, you're here. Good to see you. So welcome, my royals. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Global Controversies, the showdown. You guys know who I am already. I am your host, Cleopatra, and tonight we cut through the noise to tackle the issues shaking nations and shaping our future. From UK turmoil to Africa rising, from US on edge to China in control. Okay, the world is at a crossroads, and we are here to ask the questions that matter. But before we begin, I want you watching tonight to do more than just listen or watch. Please engage with us. Drop your thoughts in the chat. Share this broadcast, guys. And, these conversations are not just politics, they are about all of us. So your voice matters. I'm not alone in this chat tonight. I'm not alone in this show. Unfortunately, Priscilla is been caught up in traffic and transportation in London sometimes can be dangerous, especially when the weather is like it is at the moment. So she will be joining us, but while we are waiting for her, I'm still gonna go on and go and introduce her as well. So we got two remarkable voices who they were here last week, and they were so good. They were so good that we had to ask them to come back. And tonight they will bring depth, perspective, and lived experience to this conversation. So Priscilla, when she joins us, you will see her. She's a UK Nigerian media personality and a journalist with over 10 plus years across print, radio, TV, and a co-founder of Enrichment Magazine. She's a host on Ben TV and a contributor to BBC and Rise TV. She's interviewed global leaders, covered events from UN to Downing Street, and she's earned awards for media excellence and diaspora leadership. And then Akin, who is here with us tonight. Welcome back, Akin. He's a London-based Pan-African filmmaker, photographer, CEO of Wakaflix, former finance professional, trained at NYFA, that's the New York Film Academy, and he creates and champions African and Afro-European stories while mentoring emerging filmmakers. So, guys, please welcome my guest to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, listen. You're going to hold the fort while we wait for Priscilla, so I'm sure you can handle it.
I will try.
Let's see who else is here. Riri, thanks for joining. Riri is here. Amaka is here. Vime is here. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And there are more people joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's start. What I'm going to be doing tonight will be that each nation that I will take, I will start with the nation. And then after giving a little bit of a rundown of maybe like the news that are really getting the headlines, and then we can now ask those questions and then move on to the next. So let me start with UK, Britain.
Yeah.
So in Britain, the battle lines are drawn over immigration and identity stuff or issues. The streets across UK, England, they are boiling with protests. I'm sure you guys have seen the news, recently. Neighbors are turning against neighbors over migrant housing, safety, and culture. The new Labour government is even flirting with rewriting human rights law, possibly breaking away from the European Convention on Human Rights itself. Can you guys believe that? And that's not a policy debate, actually. That's Britain itself questioning its own very soul. Inside Parliament, there's another firestorm, like this euthanasia thing. Like the terminally ill adults bill. We are asking, or they're asking, should those facing death have the right to choose how they would go? So that's another thing they're discussing at the moment.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, J.K. Rowling, you guys know J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter writer. She has reignited these gender wars. Yeah. Her words are fueling a cultural divide that refuses to heal. And then there's our favorite, Kemi Badenoch. Her immigration claims sparking outrage and dividing even her own party. Right? Britain stands at a crossroads. Is it the land of tolerance and rights or the land of walls and division? Is Kemi Badenoch's hardline immigration stance exposing cracks in our own party? Or is it redefining Britain's future? Kin, what are your thoughts about Kemi Badenoch's hardline on immigration?
Kemi, you understand? I was hoping we'll go to Kemi land. I tend to, and I'll say this, I actually tend to avoid talking about Kemi. And I don't talk about Kemi for a particular reason because I think I'm giving her what she wants. So it's for people to keep talking about her, and to her, any kind of publicity is still publicity, and she's still spoken about, and she's still out there. Kemi's Kemi. Kemi's I actually find Kemi consistent. I find that very consistent. If you've actually followed Kemi from when she wanted to become MP, becoming MP, doing what she's doing, she's very consistent. She throws Nigeria under the bus all the time. She talks about immigration because that's what people want to hear about. She knows bringing her in the forefront. She's hoping that people don't see her as black. I don't know how that's going to work out, but like that's beside, she's consistent.
Hmm.
She's very, very consistent, and I can see where she's going to. Now, I was one of the people that actually I've had these discussions with friends, and I said, it won't shock me if Kemi becomes prime minister. And everybody goes, no, this and that and that. And I said, the problem with us is, again, we get very sentimental about our thinking and how we look at things. I purely looked at it from the point of view is that all Kemi needs to do to become prime minister is to win the state. Which is very strong. Kemi is not going to lose her seat. She's in a constituency where she will win her seat. Now, she will win her seat. That's why I said you have to understand the politics itself. I don't think her seat is in jeopardy at all. It's a conservative area. She's sat in it. She's won it. They've accepted her for who she is, and they like what she speaks.
Right. Okay.
So I don't see her constituency being endangered. And so if she wins that, which she will win, and you have either a hung parliament, which is very possible because Starmer is not very popular.
Right.
And so he would lose seats, and you have the Reform Party who's taking seats from the Conservatives, but the Conservatives have a way of coming together, whether you like it or not, and they will know how they're planning what they're going to be doing, especially if Reform feels that they cannot win outright, which I don't see that happening. For me, the spanner in the works is the new party. The new party, which is supposed to be the People's Party, is now how well that does, that can determine which way it's going to swing. Because I might be wrong, but I literally, honestly see a hung parliament at the next election. I don't see an outright winner. So who's going to have the most seats? Who's going to have to form a coalition to form a party will determine who your prime minister is. So now, if it happens to be the Conservative parties, which is highly possible, then Kemi will become prime minister.
So what do you think what do you think about her stance, this hardline stance on immigration? How do you think she's going to?
You have to understand that Kemi's stance is not about whether immigration is good or bad. Kemi's stance is about her own goals, which is to become prime minister. She do say anything to get to where she wants to go. She's a very determined woman. So it's not about whether the immigration laws they're doing make sense or doesn't make sense. It's not about that per se, because when you look at the statistics, how many people come into what is immigration? What do you mean immigration is your problem? Is it taking jobs? Are they causing problems? Is it
Well,
crime?
even her own party members don't seem to like her, though.
No, let's look at immigration for a minute. In 2024, we had 431 immigrants supposedly that
Right.
came to the country. You have 10.7 million people who are like foreign born population in the UK, which makes about 16%. But the problem is, what exactly are we talking about immigration for? What is the problem? Is it like they're causing problems, they're weighing on the taxpayers and that? But that's not true. We found out that they pay more taxes, they get more jobs, they're coming to take jobs that people cannot do. So they fill a gap. The reason why immigration becomes a discussion is because the people who want to use immigration as a tool know that the average UK citizen needs something to hold on to. It's easier for the working class to face immigration and think immigration is the problem rather than see that, oh, it's the ruling class, or maybe not the ruling class, or there's some people who make money from them being divided and not seeing why they have a problem and have a reason to match, have a reason to fight and say somebody's taking my job. I mean, I saw a skit recently of a guy who said, oh, yeah, he could be a doctor and he didn't finish school. And he thinks the doctor immigrant from Mumbai that is working in the NHS took his job. I mean, how does that add up? You did not even finish high school. So when people put things in your head and like you cannot go past a certain level of thinking, then you think that that's what the problem is. So it's immigration is not the problem of the UK. They have that under control as much as they wanted to. They only allow the people they want to get in. How many immigrants actually get through the cracks? Are we talking about the dinghies or the boats that they have to stop, and some of them, how many of them actually get through the system?
Well, you know something. I think most of the things that the British citizens are protesting about is the fact that you have immigrants being homed or housed in these nice hotels. Okay, they're
Yeah.
giving the best houses. They give them all the benefits for them, their kids, and everything else. They take care of them very well. Meanwhile, you got
But
their
that's
own UK citizens here who a lot of them they don't feel that they got those benefits. And it's not like a lot of these immigrants that actually come in, a lot of them are not necessarily contributing yet to the society because they're still either they came from war-torn areas like Ukraine and Bangladesh, all those other places and all Pakistan and all that. So they might, they feel like they are not contributing yet, right? And you're giving them all these benefits, and then we are here and we don't get what they are getting, right? And then with the African immigrants and stuff like that, they still feel the same thing. But my argument is for the African immigrants, at least they, like you said, a lot of them are actually taking on the roles or the tasks or the jobs that they don't want to take or they are not even qualified to take. You just hear some of them coming on the media to say they're taking our jobs, they're taking our jobs. If you ask this person, so what do you do? Oh well, they probably don't even have a job because they don't have the skill set, they don't have the qualification, but they're angry that somebody else who wants to do that job is doing the job. Why can't we just coexist and live as one? Because we all need each other. Why can't we?
think about think about it. And this is a fact. If you ask or speak to average legal immigrant from Bangladesh or Lagos or somewhere about, when they tell you what they need to put in place and the taxes that they need, so what it costs for them to get the visa itself, they pay for health insurance, they pay a certain amount to NHS just in case they have to access it. They pay for a lot of things. So they actually make payments against certain things before they're accepted, and they must have a certain job to actually come into this country. So it's a job that needs filling to benefit the society itself. So they're not immigrants that come in through boats and are then being housed.
Some do come in through boats.
That's why I said,
They come in
that's
through,
why I said legal immigrants.
yeah.
Most of the immigrants that you have are actually legal. The people that come through
Mm.
boats are not that many. Think of that journey. Let's be factual about these things. The journey, people they're trying to stop, the people that died, how many people make it across?
It's really dangerous. Yeah,
It's
very
it's not,
dangerous.
it's a very small percentage of the immigration
Mm.
problems, or if you say there's a problem, very small part of the immigration. So the immigrants you're talking about don't do that. The immigrants that might be weighing on them right now, and the Ukrainians, for instance, it's war that brought them here.
Mm.
They offered, agreed to do these things, and gave them all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the funny thing about this. But by the time you get out there and you're talking about immigrants, they are not thinking these people. They're literally thinking people who are either brown or black.
Mm.
And if you go and check the statistics of the immigrants they have right now, why they have this burden on, be it on the bed and breakfast, you're talking hotels and housing and things like that, you find out that it's predominantly offered and given willingly, freely to people from places like Ukraine. The most people on the boats, they're not going to get this. But you like
Mm.
it's a fact. But because they want to make out that it's a problem, they act that and make it out as a different problem. So we need to be able to see through these things. Like I said, not just as black or brown people, but even also as the average proper British person who's white, and when I say proper, I mean like white British person. Black British person is also proper. I'm saying like, but the divide that they're trying to put between all of us and say, okay, because you're not as British as I am, because you're from Nigeria originally, your parents were Nigerian, but you're first or second generation British citizen, doesn't make you English, because you are everybody's immigrants. If you trace yourself far back as long as you can, everybody came from somewhere.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
the
And the
only
so-called, non-white or non-Caucasians that you're talking about, they actually broke their backs. Their ancestors actually built this nation,
the
So what
difference,
are we
the
talking
difference
about?
between us sometimes, again, I'm not a racial, I'm very neutral to everybody. I believe everybody should
Mhm.
have a right to live. I don't care what color you are. But we can have Nigeria having a girl who has Nigerian heritage, looks pure Caucasian, but Nigerian. We know she's Nigerian. We've traced it. But my point being that we accept her wholeheartedly. We love
We
her.
do.
We treat her nicely. But you have the other way around, where he's black and he's English or British and he's playing for England, like somebody like Rashford or things like that. Any little problem, they want to hammer on it. They want to do this. They're looking for the wrong things from these people and all that. So it's very deep rooted in, like I said, a lot of things are very generational in the way we approach things, how you grow up, what you're taught when you're growing up, and things like that. Racism isn't born with you. You're not born with racism or tribalism. It's taught. You
Hmm.
teach these things. You grow up in an area where somebody says that, oh, it's not nice. Ijebu people are not nice, or Igbo people are not nice. You grow up thinking that they're not nice naturally. You won't think twice when you see an Ijebu or an Igbo person. You're just thinking, oh yeah, those people. You don't even know why you're saying it. You have no basis for saying that. Then you go like, oh, somebody said it, somebody said that. It's no reason to hate all Ijebus or
Hmm.
Igbos or Yorubas or
Okay.
Hausas. Yeah, so that's the way I see these things. I mean, that's the way these things are for me, and we need to be very careful about them. So the
Hmm.
immigration problem is not a problem. They're just making it an issue so that they can divide and conquer everybody, really.
Okay. Okay. Let's take the other one about J.K. Rowling. Her gender wars and this the assisted dying debates that we're currently talking about. So, is Britain, would you say Britain is still the land of tolerance? Because, that's what the British are known for. They are very welcoming, they tolerate, they accommodate and stuff like that. Would you say that's still the case, or is it rewriting the very definition of freedom and identity? Like,
I think
are they what we thought they
the,
were?
the idea of saying that Britain or the UK is tolerant is what's the word I'm looking for now, is absolutely wrong in a lot of ways. And I'll tell you why. Because tolerant towards what?
towards everyone. They're very welcoming.
I'm, I'll,
They're
I'll,
very accommodating.
I'll give you a typical example. I'm British. I
Mm-hmm.
was born British.
Mm-hmm.
I identify solely as an Ibadan man before anything
Mm-hmm.
else. I know my
Mm-hmm.
heritage, exactly who I am, and I'm Gumola's son. I know exactly who I am, but like, I happen to have a British passport not because I asked for one.
Mm.
I have a British passport because I was born here because we were colonized. So the fact that I end up with a British passport is down to colonization as far back as you can want to take it. I'm not going to go into details. So thinking I asked to be British or English, it's a false statement. Doesn't take the fact that I might be. So when you say tolerance, tolerance to why did you colonize my people in the first place? Was it due to tolerance? The only reason why I can have a British passport because you colonized places and you said this is now my land. It's now owned by it's a what you call territory of the queen or the king or whatever was ruling then. As such, Nigeria was pretty much part of England. So I happen to have that based on this. So when you keep saying tolerance, I don't understand tolerance for what? What you created? You're not tolerating. You went to India that was a thriving country, took everything they owned. They're gonna say you're tolerating them? How does that? Everything you built was built with their wealth. You're tolerating them? I don't agree with the word tolerance.
Okay,
It's you
so
don't.
what
Yeah,
word are you going to use then? If you were going to,
how do you live with what you've created? It's not. I'm not against the British. I'm not being like, oh, I'm never with this. Oh, it's us. I look at the situation you're in and you have to deal with it. So what? This is where we are. This is who we are. Don't now say, oh, okay, we've just taken everything out. Oh yeah, we've created the problem. Just go away. It doesn't quite work like that.
hmm.
So you create a problem, you find a solution to the problem you have. So when I say you're going to say London is multicultural because London's found a basis to be multicultural, realizing that there's a lot more multiculturalism going on in London. We create laws. You have a mayor that's not the what you expect to be. I mean, the first mayor of London, if I'm not mistaken, was Benny Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like it's a multicultural city, so to speak. You learn to live together, create situations where you can work together, make it equitable as possible for everybody. Not just saying, "Oh yeah, because we're here now, we have to overrun you." No, I don't think it works like that. I think it works like say, it works in a way that you make everybody live happily together and stop teaching hate and all the rest of it.
Okay, okay. Let me take these comments from the chat. Hi, Ryan. Thank you for joining. How are you today? Hi, Chief Oyobade. How are you doing? Thank you for joining. Happy blessed Sunday to you too. Ryan says, to be fair, on most of these Western countries like UK, the concern is the volume of immigrants increasing exponentially over the last few years and the pressure it puts on services. The naive and intolerant ones just don't want foreigners, period, who and use the volume as an excuse. I'm an immigrant too. So I am empathetic towards other people who migrate for various reasons. Adisa, by the way, is your new best friend, Akin, because he actually sent me a text and said, say hello to Akin for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm
Hello,
gonna. He said, you
Adisa.
come on the show and tell him yourself. So
Hello.
Adisa says, Schwann's issue, e.g., has nothing to do with colonization. I think in this context, the word tolerance is a broad concept implying an ability to allow for different contrary views. Ryan says, I think an immigration review and reform is needed due to the surge in numbers, but not blindly cutting them out. Okay.
Yeah,
And
let me
by the
take
way, this is TK. Yeah, I know it's
let me
TK.
tell you
Yeah.
for me, the numbers are what? How's it overrun? Who says we have too much immigrants? The immigrants again,
Well,
like I said,
the government is
you have to
complaining that
no
the too much immigrant because first of all the UK cannot accommodate everybody that's coming because of the funds, the
the,
finances, the housing issue, and
bring out,
everything else.
to bring out the figures. Now, I said I showed you. I think earlier, and I told you how many people are immigrants coming compared to the number of people that live in the country.
Mm,
So we have, I don't know, 60 million, 67 odd million people in the UK. But like,
mm.
you got 430 odd people coming in as immigrants. Now, those are legal immigrants. Now, how many of those? How many immigrants coming that are illegal? The legal immigrant means you've gone through their papers. You've seen that the system needs these people. It's
Mm.
lacking in our system. We need some more doctors, we need some more healthcare people, and this and that. And you tell them to come in and they work as that. You have some asylum seekers, maybe 100 and something thousand asylum seekers. You look at that, weigh that, and come to them a certain expectable number that you expect, and you accept them into the system. Now, what strain are they having on the system? Do you have statistics to this? Why are we not being able to? Is it like people are trying to get healthcare, not getting healthcare because we have immigrants, or because the appointment times are longer because of immigrants? When you look at the percentages we're talking about, that's not possible to put strain on. That's why I say you have to look at the figures.
Akin, my royals in the chats disagree with you. My royals think that statistics show that we do have that problem, okay, of immigrants problem. Too many coming in,
I brought up
not
this.
even just the UK,
I
okay? That's what
literally
my royals think.
I literally quoted the numbers when I came on. So if you have other statistics that's contrary to what I have, bring them on. Put them in the chat.
Okay, Ryan, yeah, Ryan, put your own stats there, all right,
Put them
because
in
this
the
is a
chat.
standoff now
Bring them
between
up.
you
And
and
find
Akin,
out.
okay?
Google it. Go to Chat GPT. Find out whatever statistics you want. Bring them on.
Okay.
Figures.
Okay, so let's move away. While you're putting that on, we'll talk about that as the show goes on. I'm going to go to Africa now, okay, because I'm going to be going into each of the nations on their own. So across Africa, blood is being spilled, and the world barely blinks. I wonder why. In the People's Democratic Republic of Congo, North Kivu province, a war rages in silence. Rebel groups, many funded by the dirty trade in conflict minerals like the coltan and cobalt, are carving up lands with bullets and machetes. These are the same minerals that power our smartphones, our electric cars, and things like that. Yet, their human cost is paid in Congolese blood. Entire villages are being wiped out. Women and children trek for miles in search for safety, only to end up in overcrowded camps with no food, no water, no future. Millions are displaced. Thousands are dead. And still, this humanitarian catastrophe remains one of the world's most neglected crises. How many times have you heard about it in the news? But this is not just a battlefield where Africa bleeds. Democracy itself is under siege. Let's go to Uganda. In Uganda, the government is considering the return of military trials for civilians, a move which critics warn will silence dissent by brute force. I don't know why they want to go back to military. In Tanzania, opposition leader Tundu Lissu is facing treason charges, accused of plotting against the state, when in reality, his crime may be simply because he dared to challenge those in power. Where have we heard that before? Now let's go to Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traoré is hailed as the Sankara reborn. But this guy has faced multiple assassination attempts. Who wants him dead? And why? South Africa. The continent is supposed to be a beacon of democracy. This itself is being choked by corruption, scandals. This time, it's dragging the deputy president's family into the mud. Right? Check out the news, you see everything. And everywhere, journalists are being muzzled, from Nairobi to Abuja in Nigeria. Governments are passing vague security laws that allow them to jail reporters, ban newspapers, and choke the oxygen out of civil debates. It's not just an attack on press freedom. It's an attack on truth itself. If we go further into this Nigeria, to our Nigeria, the giant of Africa, they say, but the headlines swing between hope and despair. The nation itself reels from the horror of Boko Haram attacks in Borno State. Villages are being burned, lives are being lost, displaced families living in fear, hunger stalks the Northeast, with millions at risk after international aid was slashed. A woman was lynched for blasphemy in Niger State. It's a proof that brutal practices still exist, even though Nigeria is a modern nation. Yet there is resilience. The young Nigerians, the Gen Zs, are building a thriving digital economy. They are pushing the country into the frontiers of the internet, AI innovation. But this progress is overshadowed by terrorism arrests, kidnapping, aviation chaos, corruption scandals, and the trial of separatist Simon Ekpa in Finland. Nigeria stands at a crossroad. Will it rise as Africa's hub of innovation or fall under the weight of hunger, insecurity, and division? And beyond Nigeria, the bigger question remains: how long can Africa's people endure silence, displacement, and betrayal before democracy breaks down completely? And will the world ever look past the headlines of war, hunger, and corruption and truly see the resilience and humanity of those fighting to survive? Everything that happens in Africa, for some reason, especially certain areas that we just mentioned, we don't see CNN or all these other media houses carrying them. Why? Okay, so let me ask you, Akin, why does the world ignore Africa's deadliest wars while enjoying the technology powered by his minerals? Why? Akin?
You know, I personally try not to talk too much or get involved with the Palestinian issue. And I'll tell you why. I'm not against the Palestinians or anything like that. And I know the story behind that and all the rest of it. And wishing them well in their fight against the occupation or anything, or whichever you want to look at it. But most especially, I don't look at it too much because I know as an African and as a black person, Congo has been happening for long before the Palestinian issue, and more people have died in Congo. Um, Millions have died in Congo because of what's happening in Congo. And unfortunately, we don't pay enough attention as black people to it. Again, we also have this belief, and again, like I said something earlier on about trauma being passed on, where we feel that our problems have to be solved by other people. And this is why I said Congo is more my issue than other issues. It's not about Palestine or Ukraine or anywhere else. There's the problem in Ukraine, there's a problem in Palestine and all that, their sides and all this. I don't involve myself in those sides for a particular reason because I know there's Congo there, there's Sudan there, there's Boko Haram in the north of Nigeria, which concerns me more. And I even spoke to a friend of mine about a week ago about what possibilities and what we can do in some areas to see how little and how much we can help. That's more a concern for me. That's closer to home for me, and I worry about that. Now, the problem we have is we're too busy waiting for other people to solve our problems, especially considering that most of the problems we have today is caused by the same people who are waiting to come and solve it. No offense to us there, but that's a fact. I mean, we can go into details why that's why they cause the problem, but they fund most of this problem. They fund and cost why we're here, the reason why we're here, why they want to keep us here. I mean, it's there. We all know, but like, we still wait for them to have, let me borrow a word, empathy, and then say, okay, we're not going to stop doing this because although it benefits us, we're just going to stop doing and let it benefit you. Now, when you look at the Sahel region, for instance, where in Burkina Faso, in Niger Republic, where all of a sudden they took power and they started to use their resources to develop their countries. They've thrived in the last 2, 3 years. Now, that's where I come away. I don't think people brand these people carry democracy on their head and say democracy, democracy. It's also we've been conditioned to think that democracy is the ultimate situation that a country or place should have. When you look around the world, Saudi Arabia doesn't have a democracy.
Okay, but the question really is, why is it that Africa, for instance, now with all the stuff that's going on, all the wars, they seem to be ignoring the wars that are happening, but they are enjoying mining all the minerals that they are mining from Congo, for instance, right? That they're using for smartphones and all the other technology and stuff like that. They are taking all these things, right? They even come to Nigeria. They do all sorts of stuff. No, for some reason, they don't really care about what's going on within the country. What?
You just said it. You just said it. If I'm benefiting from something happening and it doesn't affect me, why am I stopping it? You just said it. They're mining, they're collecting stuff, they're able to get what they want, and they're getting for probably next to nothing, if not free, and they're benefiting from it. Why should I stop it again? Because if they stop
Well,
it, they're still benefiting from it.
yeah, but okay, let's talk about Ibrahim Traore, you
I mean,
know.
you know what happened in Congo? We're going to Congo. I'm not going to go into a political part of it, but say, oh yeah, we're going to finish the war, and here's the deal: you give us your minerals, we stop the war. You
It's not
I don't
quite
know how that
happening.
works. Somebody needs to explain that to me. I'm still waiting for somebody to explain it to me. I'm not even going to say anything about that. But like, hey,
You know. I mean, with all this, I mean, I was looking at the I went on the internet and I saw that Ibrahim Traore, for instance, has he donated over 374. This was the second batch of huge vehicles that he
equipment.
is using to tar the roads and stuff like that and all that for all the different provinces. And there's more coming, and he's doing so much and all that. So this is a man who is going out of his way to better his country. He's doing so much, and he's been hailed as a hero,
Where
a
do you think he's getting
reincarnation
the
of
money?
Sankara and all that. Yet the
Where do you
powers that
think, where do you
be
think
are
he's getting
trying
the
to
money?
kill him
Where do you think he's getting the money from?
from the minerals and everything else. Actually,
That
from
was going to France.
yes,
So why would
yes.
France exactly? So why would France want them not to be where they were before? It's a benefit. I'm not even looking at it from a point of view. You could turn it right. It could be Nigeria that was doing it to Burkina Faso, for instance. And if Nigeria is benefiting from it, why would they want to stop it? You want to find a solution to your problem, it's got to be from internal. You have to do it internally, and which is what the Sahel region is trying to do and what they're doing. They're military rule, they're not democracy. But right now, today, if you look at Africa and the economies that are doing well and growing and doing what they should do for their people, it's the ones that are run by the military. By the way, I'm not saying that that's what we need, because I've seen military rule in Nigeria as well, and that's never necessary. It's been worse than the previous civil people. Every time you've had military, it's worse than what we had before. I'm not saying
Mm.
that will happen again. I'm just saying I'm not an advocate for one or the other. I'm saying generally you have to look inwards and start looking at what you need to do for your people. And part of the reason is you've been armed with a lot of trauma that doesn't make you see you need to do this. That doesn't make you feel like you have to do this. So you look at the Western world, like you just said, whenever there's a problem, you expect them to solve it. Why are they solving your problem? You have African Union, you have ECOWAS, you have all sorts of things. You should be able to solve the problem involving a foreign party. You have African Union. If the Congo war is there, it's an African Union problem. Why are they not solving that problem? Realizing that we need to do something about this. Now, when you understand the problem you have, why that's not happening, then you start dealing with the situation itself. It's easy to look at the other people and say, oh, yeah, they're doing this for us. Why haven't they done? Why should they?
So who do you think wants Traore dead?
The people who are benefiting from it, I presume, I don't know who they are, but the people benefiting from Traore not being in power and being able to get the resources they have are the ones who will want him dead. It's a natural process. I don't know who they are. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that if I benefit, and like I said, if I benefit from my neighbor not having electricity and I have electricity, I'm not going to say, wait a minute, my neighbor is paying for my electricity, so let's share it or let them have it. I'm going to just keep it the way it is. Especially if sharing all of a sudden involves me having to pay a bill I'm not paying before, I'm going to go, But my neighbor has lived for the last 7 years without lights. He hasn't complained now.
But whatever happened to love your neighbor as yourself? Whatever happened to treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated?
I'm going to speak Yoruba. That's what I call a road don. When they give me a road don, you know what a road don is?
I don't know what that means.
So when we give you something that's, how can I translate? I love Yoruba language. When you're giving something that makes you feel you're sold a lie, and that lie keeps you in check, that's what you are don.
Oh, okay.
That's like right. But it doesn't exist, but you're hooked onto it because you're busy looking for, because you think it's going to be that when you get it, then I'll give you what you need. Whereas Arodon doesn't exist.
Okay. Right. Let me take all these chats because there's been a lot of comments. Right? Ryan says, I have a good friend who works in the home office. I'll post the link. Please, 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 don't get me wrong. I am for immigration. I just don't want to be selfish in my preference. I'm trying to look at both sides of the coin. Okay? Amaka says, there are 10 provinces in Canada and 3 territories. UK's landmass covers just one province. I'm Canada, yet no, I think she meant in Canada, just one province in Canada. Yet, yet UK population is greater than that of the entire Canada. Not asking them to send people. And Ryan agrees with Amaka. So what are we talking about here? There are 10 provinces in Canada and there are 3 territories. UK's landmass covers just one province in Canada. Yet UK's population is greater than that of in the entire Canada. So obviously we have a problem. Oh, my chats are started coming in here. Okay.
How do we have a problem?
Okay. Well, what she's saying is that why is UK complaining that they have so many? There are 10 provinces in Canada, 3 territories. UK's landmass covers just one province. So the entire UK landmass is just one province. So two-thirds of Canada.
The landmass bits was the best. But my point, what I'm trying to bring out there is that does that person think that the roads are filled with people because of immigrants and we can't move, or because of that, like we're fitting 20 people in one room in London or Birmingham and not able to move? It's not about space.
Okay.
This is what we have to understand about these things. It's not like there are no places for people to live. It's not about space. So that comparison for me doesn't hold water per se, in the fact that because it's bigger, yeah, there's still a lot of space. There could be another. You can multiply the population of the UK by 2, and you still probably be able to find land, build, and all that, and accommodate it. It's not going to be a situation there are people in provinces in China that are smaller and have more than the people in that province in Canada. So it's how you manage things. It's not about the landmass. Like I said again, I'm not saying there's a problem, there's no problem, but identify that there's a problem. We keep saying immigration is a problem. How? I keep saying, how is it a problem? What exactly is the strain? You said it's a strain on the NHS or the housing. Is it people not getting housing because of immigration? Is it we're having longer appointments at the hospital because of immigration?
Well, there are. It's well, you know. Let me play the angel's advocate, not the devil's advocate. The angel's advocate here. Okay. So, the UK is saying, yeah, in as much as we are tolerant, we are accommodating, we want people to come in and everything, but it's just that it's getting a bit too much, because when all these people come, it's really affecting a lot of our resources, because the waiting time that was probably like to go and see a doctor was probably like maybe a couple of days. Now it's like
thanks, Ryan.
3 weeks or 1 month, right? 3 weeks or 1 month. I mean, my GP, for instance, yeah, it's so annoying that you will call her something urgent that you say, can I just come? And they'll say, no, you have to come in like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm thinking, was urgent. Then you're dying that one moment, and then you go and sit in the hospital for like 5-6 hours just to be seen for maybe one small thing like that, because apparently the resources. There are lots of other chats. I'm going to take it one chat after the other.
Let's stick with that for a minute. Can I ask you a question on that? Your appointment taking forever to get to you, is that immigration?
Because there are too many people that the system is covering and catering for. So
Again,
because of that,
again,
it eats
again,
into the time
is that
for other
immigration, your health system.
everything.
Let,
All
let me
everything,
let me finish.
everything is
No, it
part of the
doesn't.
system, though,
This is my
isn't it?
point here. The system does not accommodate the immigrants. Your health system does not accommodate the immigrants. It's the lack of funding that's causing delay in your your appointments,
Yeah, but
not
if
the
the
immigrants.
funding, like I said, I'm not agreeing or
Immigrants,
disagreeing
all
with you because
immigrants
I'm
already
supposed to
pay.
be.
All legal
I'm,
immigrants pay for their health insurance here. All. Go and find out. Not illegal, not the ones that are coming across the boats, but the legal immigrants which they bring in, all of them, which is the majority of the immigrants, by the way.
yes, but we're not just talking about legal
The
immigrants. We're talking
illegal
about
immigrants, the illegal immigrants
even
can't
the
make.
illegal immigrants.
Okay, how's an illegal immigrant going to make an appointment with a GP when they don't have an address yet? Then the
No,
boat, they
but
just put them somewhere. That it's difficult. It's not that straightforward.
but one thing is, even
And again,
even if they don't
just
have an address,
you can
one thing
just
I love about the NHS, one thing I love about the NHS is whether they have an address or not, the first thing is the duty of care. So if even if they are an illegal immigrant, if they see them and they happen to be around or they take them to the hospital, they will care for them first. But life first before anything else.
you go to A&E. That's what the A&E is for. It doesn't matter who gets there. You get treated, not a
Yeah,
GP.
but not they won't do that in Nigeria. They won't do that in some other countries, okay?
I don't
So
mix
so
discussions. Nigeria and the UK are two different systems. Why are we comparing here?
What I'm saying is, let's give the UK a credit. And I'm
I'm
speaking,
not
like I said, as an angel advocate, right? I'm not trying to support anybody here. I'm just trying to be. I'm trying to take the other side because
we must learn
Priscilla is not here,
we must learn
so
what we're talking about.
I have
And
to take.
my question was that how does the delay in your appointment, how does that have anything to do with immigration? And we've gone way away from that question, which is I'm saying like we can mask things easily. My point being, the system has delayed your appointments are delayed purely because the NHS is underfunded. You need it's not immigration.
Listen, the issue we have here is, yeah, UK is an island, right? It's compared to other parts of the world, it's a small island, right? And then you have all these people coming from all over the world trying to fit into one small island, right? Right? And they can. There's only so much. It's like when you have all this. Like when I want to travel, right? I want to fit the entire world that I have in my house, including the kitchen sink, into my luggage. You can only take so much. After a while, the luggage will tear and say, "Look, I can't take this anymore. It's too much." That's the problem. Let me take all these chats because I don't want to miss anybody's chat here. They're all my royals, and so everything they say is important. Adisa says China is the largest consumer of minerals in Africa. All right. They have no concern with the politics there. They have removed significant amount of gold from the northern states of Nigeria. 100%. Nasarawa state is case in point, right? Ryan says a wild goose chase. Amaka says, talking about people benefiting from Traore, the same goes to people benefiting from Nigeria. The worst about us is that the leaders are also benefit, so they don't care. 100%. And Amaka says, I mean, UK population is more than the entire Canada. Exactly. That is what I mean. This means we are overpopulated. Exactly.
No, we're
Yeah.
not. No, we're not. That's a wrong statement.
And
That's a completely
okay,
false statement.
I actually feel that there is, in terms of population and everybody actually, I know we still have some massive land and all that, but what I find the UK doing now is actually they're trying to move people away
my, my,
into
my point is this.
the
My point is
countrysides
my
now.
point is this. When you say make a statement like the UK is overpopulated, now you must back that with the reason why you said that. Again, like I said, it's overpopulated because what? There's not enough food for the resources. There's not enough land space for people to live in, or we're running into one another. Like I said, there's a basis for saying it's overpopulated. It's not. Oh, I've looked at the landmass of the UK and it's small. As such, Canada has big space and has this amount of people. Automatically means one space is overpopulated. It doesn't quite work like that.
Look,
Overpopulation means that
it's about
overpopulation
the
means that
overpopulation.
too
It's
many,
also about
too many people
the
you can have
finance, the
you have
funds to
too much
cover everyone.
overpopulation.
Yeah. Let
Sorry,
me
say
take
that
this comment from Ryan. Ryan says, also, I see Akin's point that the claim of chaos caused by the immigrants is being exaggerated for the wrong reasons. However, the issue does not exist with the number. Adisa says, for some academic input on immigration. Rita says, I agree with Amaka. I think there's when it comes to Africa, when it comes to, I mean, we went back to the first issue about UK, but we're now in Africa, now. But every point that you've taken, we see. I guess we can never really exhaust the issues that, in fact, that's why even the government here, they don't even know what to do when it comes to the United Kingdom. They don't know what to do right now. The jury is out.
about what?
Even the parties are fighting within each other in terms of what to do, decisions that are being taken and stuff like that. So
The problem is much deeper and it started a while back. If you look at what's happened over the last some, it started from Brexit, and Brexit brought a lot of problems which we're still paying for today.
yeah.
Again, my point and position on these things is never about right or wrong. I mean, when you take a point, you take a position, you've taken it. I was personally, I can tell you my own point about it. I was not for Brexit, but like
Yeah, I
if
wasn't for Brexit.
but if people voted to leave the EU, and we live in a democracy, and that's what you want to follow, then that's it. So,
Yeah.
but not accepting that with a lot of problems and things have become twice as expensive, in some cases 3 times more expensive because of Brexit, would be lying to ourselves. And there's a reason for these things. You have to understand that there's consequences for actions that we take. Now, the reason why we took this action again, if I remember well, was immigration. And
Mm.
there's a lot of talk about the Polish people taking their jobs, and now the Polish people, like, you wanted to come back to their country mostly. They're living
Yeah.
happily in their country, but you still, now there's a void, there's a problem, which is why they're bringing in official immigrants from all over the place to fill in these places. And as I said, when you talk about immigration, you have to understand, you have to be very careful. Which immigrants are we talking about here? Legal or illegal immigrants? Now, if you're talking about
Okay,
illegal
you
immigrants,
know what?
any idea on how they
Let's
are in the system?
let's go to the states. Let's go to the states because we have a few. And I'm looking at the time, and I don't want us to cross more than, I don't know, an hour or at least a little bit more than that. Okay, so
Okay.
in the states, the
Mm.
conflicts never seem to come to an end. On the streets, people are protesting. There's mass deportation that tear families apart. In the military, transgender soldiers face uncertainty as politicians argue over their rights to serve. In healthcare, the fight over vaccines return. RFK, who was once praised, is now seen as a risk. While states like Florida, they've scrapped vaccine rules for children. Go figure, honestly. Democracy itself feels very shaky, with strict voter ID laws and limits on mail in voting that could stop millions from casting their ballots. Meanwhile, the relocation space command sparks accusations of politics interfering with national defense. And the president keeps bending the rules. That's nothing new. The question remains, is America still the land of the free, the land of milk and honey, God's own country? Or is freedom being redefined by who holds the power? People used to say, oh, America, when it comes to morality and blah, 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 blah. Is that still the case? Has America lost its moral compass as the land of the free, or is this, simply democracy under stress, but still pretending to be alive? What do you think about what's going on in America? Okay.
America is consistent as far as I'm concerned.
Mm.
I mean, America is America. It's what they are. I don't think they've changed the way they do things. They're probably a bit more vocal about certain things and how they feel about it. Again, like I said, it's their culture to do what they do, and they like their amendments, they like their statements. As far as I'm concerned, it's America. I
It's
mean,
just, I think,
America doesn't shock me per se. Again, like I said, they're consistent. I mean,
I think
um,
some presidents have done better than others, I guess, in terms of.
but you get that in every country. You can say that about
Mm,
any. So people do better than others, and this is
mm,
left. It's up to the people, the American people, to decide what's good for them and what's not good for them, and whether they like who's there or whether they don't like who's there. They didn't want the previous president; they voted another one in. That's their democracy, and then they're enjoying what they have right now. I really don't have any. I don't have any issues with America, to be honest with you. I mean, like,
Mm.
I don't live in America. I go to America maybe on business sometimes, but like, I don't really. I don't lose.
Yeah, I
Then
mean the
then
issue
I
about
think culturally they're consistent. They would. The America America is America. Again, just like Africa, like I said, the people, if the people want change, they would get the change they want. They have to ask for the change they want. And they'll deal with their own issues. America, for me, it's not predominantly, it's not an issue for me because it doesn't really, I don't think it affects me that much. Maybe when it comes to how it affects the world, then I think about it. But like, I don't really have per se opinion about how they will choose to run their country, how they want to run it, and what they do. I think again for me, we tend to lay too much importance on we tend to lay much importance on other people's situations and the influence we think they have on us, and we give them credence ourselves by saying, I mean, like the term I like is the leader of the
free
free.
world.
I mean, when I've heard that years ago, decades ago, I used to wonder what election was held for that. But when you say something often enough, everybody starts to accept it as that,
Believe in it.
starts to
Yeah.
believe that, and then it just becomes normal to say that. So when you're saying, like I said, when it comes to the world itself, and I think like, okay, how does it affect and the decisions they're making and the things they're saying, then I start to maybe have an opinion. Other than that, I wouldn't have an opinion.
I guess, a lot of them are kind of like, I think the jury is out with the current government, because especially with this immigration thing where, is threatening to tear the families apart. If you marry somebody, who is not an American, who wasn't born in America or whatever, and maybe some criteria are not met. So there was a lady, I think I was watching a program on YouTube the other day where this lady, she in fact she's a grandma now. She married an American citizen. She's been in America for over 30 something or 40 something years. She's now a grandmother. And yet, with this new immigration, whatever that they are trying to pass, she will have to go back to where she's come from. It doesn't make sense.
What happens?
But
What happens to the Windrush, the Windrush group as well? Here,
yeah,
when all of a
yeah,
sudden
yeah, yeah,
someone has the rule, and the people who've lived here for 70, 80 years, all of a sudden have been told to go
yeah,
somewhere else.
yeah,
Now,
exactly.
we're sitting down here. I mean, like I said, I'm officially first generation British. My kids is second, but if for some odd reason somebody says we should pack and go tomorrow because
Mm,
our lineage is not long enough that it has to be 5, 6 generations before you can claim British, we will have to go. It's not about right. Sometimes we hammer too much. If you want a right or wrong, you have to collectively decide what that is. So, what do you think is right? And then you collectively implement it and change it and embed it into your culture and your rules. It's very
mm,
easy to sit here and say something's wrong, but if you're not doing anything about it within the powers you have, but wait till when the powers become different, where you cannot do anything, then you only have yourself to blame. So I can
mm,
vote. So if I want to, if there's an election, I go and vote for who I think will keep things the status quo, so to speak. But if I say no, I'm not interested in voting, for instance, or I'm not interested in the politics, and I go ahead and for some odd reason I get kicked out, then I
mm,
will have to go when I'm kicked out.
mm,
If rightfully I shouldn't be. So again, just like going back to the African situation, you're waiting for the people who really benefit from you not being independent. The reason why they want to get rid of Traore is because if the Sahel region keeps going the way they're going and they get as powerful as they need to get to, they start to become a beacon of light for Africa, and people see that as an example of what they want and expect from their leaders and their people. Now that does not work well for some people.
and it's not fair. I
Af-
mean,
Africa,
Africa is supposed to be
Africa
the
is
best
supposed
continent in the
Africa,
universe based on
Africa,
what it has.
Africa is supposed to be the continent that provides the raw materials and buys everything else from everybody. You're not
Yeah,
supposed to be able to make your own shit.
absolutely.
So when you understand that, you start to get why we're the way we are, why we're conditioned. And if you don't believe we're conditioned, that's another thing. I think we are generally
I
not
think
just
I think
Africa, just the whole world generally being conditioned to go a
I
certain way.
think Traore, we're gonna go to China in a minute, but I think Traore really, I think if all America, so not, African leaders were anything like Traore, honestly, Africa would be like the shining light of the world. If honestly, because that guy has come in and within before they will say, oh no, this person just came in, give him 2 years, give him 3 years. This guy from the very get-go, from the day he came into power, he's been changing things. And I don't understand why people don't understand, why people don't appreciate that, why they're trying to kill even his own fellow African presidents or whatever. Some of them are not happy because he's making them look bad. He's making them look bad,
Because
right?
yeah, because they don't want look, it's again back to the divide and conquer. When you have a few the elites in Africa, most of the time, or if you want to call them that, the elites in Africa are more the benefits as well from the situation
Yeah,
we have.
yeah,
So they're not interested in changing things as long as it benefits them and it benefits their own families and things like that. They're
yeah,
not
yeah.
interested in things. The world, if you go check properly, every revolution you see or anybody that's gotten up and a leader, be it through politics or anything like that, go and check. Are people from privileged backgrounds because they're equipped. You're just waiting for that person from that background that says enough is enough. We're not treating these people right. They're very generational, or it takes a couple of generations before you see somebody like that. And that maybe Traore is somebody like that, where he's come along and say, so it's not about him benefiting. But don't forget, he's got the training. He went to school. He's the captain or whatever in the army. It takes a lot
Mhm,
of things to get there. For then come out and say, no, this is not fair. We need to change things for our people and all the rest of it and make things better. But you
mhm.
don't get that with most politicians. You get politicians that have gotten there through greed, paid people to
Yeah,
get there, and it's all
yeah.
about making as much money
Oh,
for themselves and all the rest of it.
yeah. Let me take this text from Adisa and Rita. Adisa says, I'm not sure if America was ever the land of the free. It's always been a land of contradictions. Egypt, Bible Belt, whilst being the lead monetizer of pornography. And Rita says, I don't think that America is the land of the free, though. Adisa says he's similar to Paul Kagame with plus and minus
All
reputation,
right.
depending on your view. And Ryan says, so sorry, I have to drop off soon. Thanks again, Cleopatra and Mr. Akin, for your insights. Have a blessed. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this Bible Belt thing that you're talking about, Adisa. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? It's even those who are, yeah, some of them are the ones that actually the most culprit. So we're not going to go there because that would be another kind of worms. And yeah, I don't want Akin to go into that because you and Aki and I have been arguing before we actually joined the show
Uh,
over this thing about. So let's not even go there. Let me go to China.
let's go to China. It's a
Let's go
safer.
to China. Okay, so in Beijing, power keeps tightening. In Taiwan, the Taiwan Strait, yeah? Canadian and Australian warships passed through, and China calls it a provocation. And now there's this fear of conflict between Canada and
How did
Australia,
China,
China,
how did China cause provocation?
because they passed through their strait, their own territory. You know,
Who's passing
go
through whose
figure.
territory? Who's passing whose territory? I'm
And
just trying to
Canadian,
clarify. I'm just trying to clarify.
that is what the news have said. That is what is
Well,
happening in the
that's
world.
what I'm saying. The news has said
People
that.
look for every slight. China has gone. China is now one of those. They don't even. They seem to be very very wary now and very cautious about everything and anything.
China,
If you pass
China,
through their
China,
territory without any
China,
permission, then you are
China
then you're a
hasn't
threat.
China hasn't fought a war in over 50 years.
But now it's raising fears of
China
conflict.
says who? The people who are known for conflicts?
That's what the media is saying.
Which media?
Okay. Let me
The
let me let
Chinese
me carry
media?
on anyway. At home, let me carry on. At home, censorship deepens, and this is still in China.
Please
There's a
do.
new digital ID tracks. which it tracks everyone online, right? So they're like the big brother on steroids kind of thing. This digital ID tracks every move their citizens make online, right? Critics of the economy disappear, and even reporting it, like if you criticize what's happening in the economy, or you criticize why they're tracking citizens or whatever, the next thing, the person just, you don't see them anymore. And even if you're reporting on technology, for instance, it is restricted. So it just feels like security and more is being suffocated, right, in China. In Tibet, there's this dam. It's called the Mutuo Dam. It's being built, right? So some people are celebrating it, that it's this is a great achievement, but it is feared as an ecological threat to India and Bangladesh because of how it's how what it how it's being built and everything else, right? So that's another issue right now between China, India, and Bangladesh. This dam that they're building. Meanwhile, youth unemployment rises, which is very surprising. I didn't think that would ever happen, but youth unemployment rises in China. Local governments are sinking into debt, which is quite another surprise, when I saw this. And ordinary people are told to stay silent. So the question is this: is China truly a rising superpower? Or is a fragile system that is held together by fear and censorship? Because you may know, even TikTok, I think TikTok comes from China, isn't it? And there's this fear. I think some countries, including America, are trying to see whether they can even ban it, because they're thinking that it actually uses some form of it as a spy thing and all that. They still want to exert control. So is China building a new global order, or a high-tech cage that even its own people cannot escape? What do you think?
Firstly, TikTok is not Chinese, it's Singaporean.
Okay.
Now, the information we've gotten from you so far, what's the source of all of this information? We have to be really, really careful about how we take things from the media, because one thing we've learned about the media in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years is that they usually propagate an agenda. It doesn't matter whose agenda they're propagating. It could be China's for all I know. But my point being, I like to know the source of these things before I now say this is the way it is. Because I tell you for free, unemployment isn't rising in China. That I can tell you for free is not true. Local government struggling again? I don't think so. And I've been to China multiple times, multiple times, and I follow China. I even follow Red. I do things. I'm constant on what's going on there. Now, I'm not saying they don't have their own issues. They probably do. But in the grand scheme of things, that they're suppressing their people, no. China has some of the biggest middle class band in the world, if not the biggest middle class band in the world. And they have over 1 billion people. India too has a big middle class band. But that's another that's not what we're talking about. It's China we're talking about now. And like I said, I've been to China. I don't see any of these things. And so when the media tells me something, I've been to a place where I don't see, the question what the reason why they're propagating this information to people. China is not trying to be a super global power right now. They just are. They spend their efforts, money, time developing where they're at. If you go to China, I saw China the first time I saw anybody paying with their phone was in China. This was like about 5 years or so before anybody could do it anywhere else in the world. And I thought that was dangerous because I didn't understand it. Now I understand it. The only thing I carry is my phone. So this is a system that's developing, creating, and trying to get better and better and better where they go to. Now, saying China is a threat or something, I don't understand why people come thinking that like that. It's a bit of a funny thing to me. They're very innovative. They have electric cars that are half the price of the ones we buy in Europe. They Every technology they have is way ahead of everybody else, regardless of what anybody tells you. I did an eye test in China and I could not believe what I could see when they changed my glasses. I could not believe it. It was like I'd never seen like that before. So I mean, when people talk about China, it's and like about as if they're like in a communist country where people
There,
are so
there,
so true.
there are links, and I can drop the links
Please
to
do.
these sites, and there are major news sites for that matter
Right.
that carry all this, and they're all verifiable. Now, one thing I know is that a lot of countries, especially maybe a place like China, for instance, they would only want, just like North Korea, South Korea, places like that. They'll be they're very cautious about the sort of news that comes into the world, because they always want to
Everybody
have
does.
that. Exactly. Well, everybody, but some do it better than others. Okay. So the fact that one doesn't see a lot of things that are happening within China doesn't mean that things are not happening.
That's why I said I've
The
been there.
people that actually live there would tell you some of the stuff that they're going through. Okay. Whether they are Chinese people themselves or even immigrants that live there. So what we're saying is, based on what we have seen and based on what's happening, and based on at least the little stories I've managed to seep from there, we know that there is this element of control anyway, especially in terms of
Are
this
you
sort
saying
of
that?
news that
Are you saying
comes
that?
in out
Are
of the
you saying
world.
that? Are you saying that governments are not trying to control us here or
Mhm.
elsewhere?
No, I'm not saying that, but I actually
So
feel that
why
there's
is
going
that?
to be more freedom.
Why there's more freedom in China than there is here.
Well, I guess the jury is out on that.
So it depends on the
I,
yardstick you're using for that as well. I mean, use look the freedom thing. If you're not hiding anything, and like I know people say, well, it's not, if you're not hiding anything, and somebody gives you a digital number or something that tracks what we do and all the rest, and you're not a criminal, why are you worried about being tracked? If it prevents crime, and that makes sure that people are very wary of committing crimes, people are very wary of committing murders, wary of attacking people, not raping people, not attacking women in the street for no reason whatsoever. You know that you can be traced, and it stops all of those things. I don't see it as a bad thing. What are you hiding?
it depends. It
I'm not
depends.
saying
It depends.
I'm not saying that's what China is doing, but if you look at Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria, you have to have name, you have to have this, you have to have that. What do you think that's all about?
It's all part of it, and I think there's been a lot of uproar about that, actually, because I think there was one time they said you have to have a BVN to open a bank account and all that. So people went to this
You need a
BVN thing,
BVN, you need a
and then
name,
now they're saying name.
as well, you need name, BVN, and TIN these days
Yeah,
to open a bank account. It's three things you need
right.
to open a bank account.
So it's crazy. It's crazy. They keep pushing, and it's all part of this whole control thing anyway. Priscilla, thank you very much for joining. Unfortunately, we're about to end, but you know what? You've been through a lot today.
Better late than never.
Better late than never.
Oh
Honestly.
man, I just can't believe it. After leaving early because I wanted to make sure that I was here in time, only
Yeah.
for public transport to have another plan. So, but it's all good. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the rain. Thank you all so much for holding the fort. It's good to see you, Akin. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pleasure.
Thank you for joining. Adisa says, I doubt there is more freedom in China than here. Look at what's happening in Hong Kong to the plight of the Uyghur. Oh, listen, let me tell you, Adisa, I am going to be doing an expose
On that
on
one.
China very soon.
So let me let me let me
Very
let me let me
soon.
let me say something about that.
Okay?
So first of all, doubting the freedom of China to here again, like I said, I've been to China. They're very free. So anything, they're not any more shackled than we are here. They're as free as we are here. I've been to China multiple times. I've been to China at least 8 times. So like I'm not talking about, oh, I went there once and this is what I saw. I've done business in China. Wakaflix bought its first sort of equipment all to order from China. So I used to go in and out. So um it's not about that. So, like I said, I don't see anybody being fair here than they are there. That's number one. Secondly, you said something about Hong Kong. Now, this is to show you how benevolent and how benevolent China is. When they took Hong Kong over, they said they were going to leave them to be what they're, even though it's still a Chinese territory now. But Hong Kong has stayed true to Hong Kong since the British gave it back to the Chinese. And the Chinese are like, well, you're living your lives. As long as you work within this small territory of that, you're still China, we're China. Carry on doing what you're doing. And then you're saying these countries are trying to control people. It sounds contradictory to me. Like, That wouldn't happen in too many places. They just take it over and you wait and see. No, let me not talk about that. But you know what I'm saying, it doesn't happen.
Okay,
Doesn't
okay.
happen about too
I'm
many
gonna
places.
allow Priscilla to speak in a minute because at least she's here now, so she's gonna own the
Yeah.
floor before we close in another 5-10 minutes. But before that, Rita, you are very correct, and Akin, you were wrong. TikTok it actually comes from China, not from Singapore. And I'll tell you what. Let me
No,
tell you what.
I'm not wrong because
TikTok. Hold on. Let me correct you.
the
Akin,
American Senate starts on this. Except you're not
Akin,
in this world.
Akin,
And
let me
the
correct you. At
military
least
guy
learn
told us that he's
Learn
Singaporean.
this today, Akin. TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance. It's a Chinese technology company that's headquartered in Beijing, right? ByteDance launched TikTok in 2016 under the name Douyin, a version used in mainland China. So TikTok is essentially a version of Douyin, right? It's privately held by various investors and all that. They have their headquarters in Singapore, with major offices in Los Angeles, London, and Dublin. But that does not make Singapore the owners of TikTok. They actually come from China. So I was right, and Rita is right as
No,
well.
you're listening to propaganda again and then making up these things as we go along. I'm not talking about you, but the person that's there because now you're saying that we think it's owned by the company that has the same thing in China, and
We
then
don't think we know.
they've disguised it to this. Like anybody can do that, but the bottom line is that the official TikTok company has formed without anybody saying anything is pretty much Singaporean. The CEO is Singaporean, and they
It
claim.
is not. Let's move from there, but it's not. Priscilla, please, please, do you have any comment? I know that you're kind of like thrown in the middle, but we're just talking about China. I think that's the last I'm going to talk. I'm going to skip the other topic I was going to talk about and then do the conclusion before we leave. But do you have any comment at all about China in terms of uh, this control thing? And there's quite a few things on the chat already as well that I'm going to read. But any thoughts about China building? Is it building a new global order in high tech, or is it caging its own people? Is it being too controlling? You think?
Um, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. When I think for many years, humanity has always been caged in this propaganda of believing that everybody else is bad except for the Western countries. So we've been fed on this diet of, whether it's the people who are trying to do better for their countries in Africa, or if it's the Asian countries, or maybe it's even, I don't know why I can hear myself, if there's a feedback and I don't know why.
Yeah. Is your phone on? Is it on
My
flight
phone is
mode?
always on silent. My phone is
Okay.
permanently on silent, so it's not my phone.
I don't
It,
think it's
it,
you. I think
it's
it's
not the phone. I think there's two devices operating this somewhere,
Right.
and that's why it's coming back.
so maybe from
So
your end.
yes, sorry,
Yeah, it's from your end. Yeah.
yeah.
From
So
Joseph.
so we've always been fed on that. So it's like Akin says, if you've not been to China, you will believe that they are, they have the most awful laws and that they're treating their people so badly and that they're the most wickedest people on the face of the planet. But then when you actually go there, you then find out that actually it's not quite the same as what they're telling us. We recently seen North Korea, for instance. They've always told us, Kim Jong Un was probably, the worst, for want of a better expression, terrorist, if you like, to his own people. But then we're now seeing that, hang on a minute, the people of North Korea seems to be living their lives like everybody else and totally free. And so if we don't actually go to these places, we will never really know what the true state of play is. I also think that when it comes to the question of whether or not they're trying to control the world, I think just as the Western countries have done in times of old, ensuring that they had a stake in different countries and have some kind of ability to determine or to control or to have a say in what happens in those countries. China is rising up to do the same thing, although I think um, they're more benevolent in their acts, rather than what we see some of the in some aspects they are, and in other aspects they are not, because um, in some countries that they give to some of the African countries, for instance, they bring in their own workers from their country. So the countries have taken these contracts, they take the contract, and then the Chinese bring in their own workers. It's supposed to be some kind of investment, but then you don't get to give jobs to the locals. It doesn't create employment for the locals, and it also does not. Um, some of them they've left instructions in Chinese and Mandarin, and in some places there was a story a few years back where the I think it was the African Union, the Chinese had built it. I can't remember if they had built the assembly, and they basically built it and laced the place, as it were, with microphones and cameras, and they're able to witness what is happening and what is being discussed, effectively spying on, and things like that. So that is quite dangerous, on its own. So it's a matter of balance, I think, with any country that wants to engage with China, to be able to, as it were, as Nigerians will say, shine their eyes and ensure that the contract, they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's, and that the contract is beneficial to their own people more so than it is for the Chinese. Because the Chinese, obviously, everybody comes into situations looking for how to benefit themselves as much as they can. And so if you allow them, they will take full advantage. Because some countries report that Chinese come there to do the work, but they bring their food from China. They set up their own shops and they
Yeah.
buy for themselves. That
Mhm.
money doesn't flow through the economy of that country.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that in itself is a degree of control that it really, quite frankly, is unacceptable.
Hmm.
But then it's down to these countries what they're agreeing to, and they should really take time to look at some of the final details and say no.
Yeah.
I would, I
Okay.
100% agree with what you're saying. I think you're right. But like the fact is, half the time, most of us are not equipped, or because of the system that we have, people benefit from it and just overlook certain things. But if you're going to deal with people, you have to be able to deal with them properly, like go through the contracts properly, know what benefits you, and all the things you said about it, and then make the best decision for your people. But if we allow somebody to come in and take advantage of you in a quote unquote capitalist sort of system, they will take advantage of you.
And
That's
that's
what
what they do.
yeah, that's what you need to, and that's like I said, that's generally not just from the Chinese, from anybody that you're trying to do business with, be it the
Yeah.
Americans, French, whoever. You need to look at it properly and all of that. And like I said, for instance, in Nigeria, for instance, we still take oil out, whereby 60% of the oil, the cost of the oil that we take out, goes to foreign country.
I mean, it's
Still,
ridiculous.
as we speak.
That situation is
And
really not
so,
worth
like,
mentioning.
so you look at it from that point of view, like I said, when it's a stage of neocolonization and all sorts of things, enslavement, that we don't even see it anymore. The problem is we don't even see it. We think we're free when we're not.
Mm.
And then the people try to be free, like the Traores of this world, and then we say, "Oh, there's something wrong with them." We have black people thinking that there's something wrong with them.
It's because of the propaganda that's put out there. They've
It's
been
so
fed
Yeah.
on that
we're
diet, and
so
and
blind
um,
to certain things now that we just go by it. And like I said, again, I said generational trauma that we pass on. It's not past three, four generations. We've been passing it down that we think is the norm. And if we keep passing it down, in another three, four, five generations from here, everybody will think it's normal. And our people will be enslaved for
Okay.
life.
Okay. Talking about propaganda, Deepo, thank you so much for joining. Deepo says very true, Akin. The media propaganda. China does not subscribe to the kind of permissiveness we have in the West. They have progressed to be a superpower without being democratic. I don't know. I don't know which society is the best, whether it's an autocratic society or a democratic society. I think each of them has these plus and minuses, I guess. So, and I can't really say. If you ask me which society is better,
Are you
uh,
saying China is autocratic?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just checking.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Or the or any other name that you might call it, or I don't know. But I'm going to round up because I think we're already far spent with time. But honestly, there's so much really that we could have covered. I was going to talk about global issues, about technology, because AI offers breakthrough in medicine and in industry, but there's also a risk that is spreading this deep fake, this bias, and we talked about propaganda earlier on. So is this going to undermine democracy? And we're going to talk about democracy itself across the world.
Don't forget that
Whether
AI is programmed by human beings.
well,
So,
there you
so it's
go,
not
there you go.
discovering this medical discovery by itself. It's not somebody programmed it to do that.
AI is programmed, but AI also is designed in such a way it takes in information and can come up with things independently based on the information that it has.
So you're suggesting that
Yeah.
AI is human,
So AI, not human.
thinking for itself.
AI is not human. AI is not human, but AI can dissect things that humans can dissect quite quickly. So if as a human, because I use AI for work,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, we all use AI, but
I use it,
AI is
like
programmed. AI does not have
I like
that.
like I
I don't believe that AI has that capacity to suddenly have a medical discovery on its own. AI does what it is told, what has been fed into it, and
mm,
what it is told to do. So
100
that discovery would have come through
from
somebody.
100% agree with you. So basically, yeah, AI is such that it's what you feed in that it works. Which I mean that
garbage in, garbage out.
it
That's what we
helps you,
say in the IT
help you
world.
to get to where you're going to quicker. But like she said, you're not gonna tell AI, oh, hey, just give me the key of so and so, and I was like, pop, it comes up with it. Nah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Okay, listen, we are going to round up. Honestly, this topic we can go on and on, but I'm looking at time. But tonight we have traveled across the world in one sitting, from Britain's immigration battles to Africa's silent wars, from America's democracy on the brink to China's tightening grip, from Nigeria's painful contradictions to the global question, the question that's hanging over the collective future. Like, what do all these stories tell us? It tells us that our world is connected, that the protests in London, they will echo in Lagos, that the crackdown in Beijing reverberates in Washington. There's this saying that when America sneezes, UK catches a cold or the world catches a cold. I don't understand why they keep saying that, but that's saying, but it's a global world nowadays, a global village, right? That the minerals that are mined in Congo, yeah, they power the phones in our hands, and that the death of democracy anywhere, it will threaten freedom everywhere. But the truth is this is not the time for despair. There's a lot of uproar, there's a lot of issues right now going on in the world. But I think this is the time for courage, right? Because across every continent, ordinary people are rising. Journalists who keep writing, even when silence are still writing, no matter what, because they believe in their truth. There are citizens who are marching even when they are being beaten. Young people are still building their futures, even when they are being betrayed by their government. The world may feel like it's spinning into chaos, but history has always been written by those who refuse to stay silent. The ones who demand better, the ones who ask the hard questions, the ones who dare to believe that change is possible, even when the odds are stacked against them. So my challenge to everyone today is, and those of us watching tonight on the chat is, don't just consume the news when you hear it. Sometimes question it, do your own research. Don't complain about injustice. Confront it. If you're not happy about something, be a voice, speak out, because this is our world, right? Don't just share outrage online and just, put it on WhatsApp chat or whatever. Sometimes think about it, action it, let those in power know about it. you know, Support a cause, protect a voice, start a conversation that matters, because the future is not decided in parliaments or in palaces or even in the presidential mansions. The future is decided by people like you and me, by the choices we make, the voices we raise, and the truths that we refuse to bury. So, this is your moment, guys. This is our moment to decide, do we stand by the world and as it unravels, or do we rise together and stitch it back stronger? The choice is yours, but the time is now, and the world is waiting for us to actually make that change, to do something. There's so much going on. What are we doing as an individual? What role do you think you would play? to change things? Do you think it has nothing to do with you? It's just the government? Do you? If so, well, I don't know. I think, then there's going to be trouble if we're just waiting for the government, because we can see that even the government don't even know what they're doing right now. There's a lot of uproar everywhere. So guys, what can I say? Let's just take this home and think about it, when we're by ourselves, and say, okay, is there something I can do to change my own world? Does it start from my family? Does it start from my workplace? Does it start from my community? And then let's see how we can make the world a better place. Empower ourselves to empower the world, I guess. Thank you so much to my guests for joining. Thank you, Akin. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you so much. Thank you to my royals. You guys have been always, as you are, amazing. All your contributions. I am loving every second of it. I hope next week you will come back and just be as fiery as you were tonight. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you next week. But in the meantime, guys, stay blessed, stay bold, stay empowered, and just be a blessing wherever you are. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good week. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Unlock your true potential. Empower your mind, body, and soul. Live with intentions, live with a purpose. Empower your dreams, make it happen today. No matter your age, rise and shine. Live boldly, live authentically. It's your time to rise and shine. Empower life with Cleopatra. Awaken the best version of you. Your journey starts today. You've got one life to live. Love yourself, be kind to others, break free and let your spirit soar. Empower life with Cleopatra will help you awaken the best version.